Hey everyone, welcome back to Google Workspace Recap, your number one source for everything workspace on the Tab Geeks Network. I'm Jesse Nolan, my co-host is Steve Larson, and we're here to help you keep up. Happy New Year and welcome to 2023. Is your New Year's resolution to get more certifications? Mine is. I'd like to invite you to join us on January 12th for our Google ChromeOS Administrator live discussion and Q&A with Googlers from the team who developed the certification. So please submit your questions in advance, either in the comments section of this video on YouTube, or you can also submit questions on Twitter or on our website, workspacerecap.com. We will be able to take questions live during the event, but you're more likely to get them answered properly and thoroughly if you put them in ahead of time. Also, in case you missed it, be sure. Yeah, Steve, go ahead.
Well, I was just saying before that, also you can join us on that date and, wish me a happy birthday. So
that's right. Surprise! I wasn't going to put that out there, but sure, you can. Yeah. You know what? Maybe we should put that out there. Screw the topic. Join us to celebrate Steve's birthday on January 12th for our Google Workspace Recap birthday celebration for Steve.
Right. And by the way, there's some Googlers that will come talk about Chrome certification.
We might talk about a ChromeOS certification, administration certification, ChromeOS administrator certification, which is basically everything you ever wanted to know about ChromeOS and how to manage it. So if you have questions such as how old is Steve and what is his big resolutions for the year, or how many candles are on the cake, or
if you need to know what to get me for a birthday as a present, I would say just go with whiskey.
Anything Google related,
or whiskey related. Yeah. Either one.
That's fair. Yeah. Also, in case you missed it, be sure to catch our end-of-year Google Chrome browser recap episode, which I did manage to get out with like a few hours to spare. So it is still the end-of-the-year recap, and it got published before the end of the year with Alex Bauer, who we've had on here before, doing a Chrome browser recap, and hopefully we're going to continue doing those throughout this year as well. Wherever you listen to the show is where you can find it. However, given the amount of screen sharing that we did on that show, you're probably best to head over to YouTube to watch that, just because that's the easiest way for you to be able to keep up and to follow along with everything that we were sharing throughout that show. And lastly, I will say, what do you want to see from us? What else can we do? Just like we were saying towards the end of the year there, or in our end of year recap episode there, is, we're always trying to improve the show, so let us know. With that, hey, Steve, Happy New Year.
Yeah, Happy New Year, and welcome to Season 3. This is the beginning of the third season, our third year. 2 years completed, then the start of the third right now. So, yeah, it's
crazy. 3 years.
Yeah, I can't believe we're now in the third year. It's been good.
We still haven't met.
I was going to say, and still haven't met. Still haven't met. Yep, I think this is going to be the year. It's going to happen this year. I have a good feeling.
I mean, travel's opening up. Let's see. I'm going to be in Vegas on Wednesday. You want to meet me there?
It's possible. I could fly in Thursday morning. I could fly in first. I was actually looking at the flights.
I only go for the day. When I go to Vegas for work, it's only for the day.
Just for Wednesday?
Yep.
You mean with the
Land at 8 a.m., leave at 4:30.
No, because I can't. I gotta leave at Thursday morning. That's the earliest I can leave.
Oh well.
Yeah.
We'll find a time. It'll happen. Yeah. Worst case, you'll just come out to Long Beach and enjoy our nearly impeccable weather. Although at the moment it's 52 degrees and rainy. So one of the few times it actually rains throughout the year. So that's not that bad. Steve's like, 52? Yeah. It's negative 28 where I am right now. I'm dying.
It's actually nice out today. It's really nice out. I wasn't even wearing a jacket.
Oh, so it was 18?
Maybe. I don't know. Yeah.
Good times.
Yeah, so this week we're going to talk about, for the most part, all of the updates from 2022 that Jesse and I found most interesting, because we only had one update last week. We'll cover that. And then a few things. Yeah, it's basically a top 10. We just both went through the list, picked out our favorites, and it was 10 to 9 or something like that. Is what we had.
I added an honorable mention, so now mine is 10 as well.
So you've got 10. So it's 10-10. Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and none of ours were the same. We didn't have one that was the same. So there's 20 updates we'll talk about in our top 10s. from last year. Yeah, and then quite a lot of well, not quite a lot, but a few additional items of things in the news that kind of happened here at the end of the year. So
They're all basically the same.
Oh, are they? Oh, okay. I didn't even read them.
You didn't read them, obviously.
There's like 4. I'm just like, 4. Okay.
3 out of 4 of them all say the word Pixelbook.
You're the one always picking them. Why don't you not duplicate them then? I don't know.
Because no. They're from different sources. It just happened to be that there was a bunch of end-of-year Pixelbook shitting on Google for not making more Pixelbooks content, and I'm all for it. So,
Okay.
Let's bring it on.
Not making more hardware?
Correct.
Okay. I thought there was a pretty decent amount of hardware that came out this year, actually, from a ChromeOS perspective. Yeah.
There was. But the Pixelbook was just... The Pixelbook and the Pixelbook Go were just really nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
Plus, there's only 2 really good options, and they're both $1,200. So, $1,000 really good option would be great, especially,
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's sub 1,000, that $990 kind of price point would be great. Yep.
I know. I literally have a stack of sub 1,000 here, and quite frankly, as nice as they are, was this CX5 from Asus? As nice as they are, they're not. I mean, we can do better. For sub 1,000, you can certainly do better.
Yeah.
There are Windows laptops that are far better for under $1,000. Like, come on, you need less power, and all I ask is for a good screen and trackpad and keyboard. That's about it.
Yeah. Yep. Well, let's get the one update out of the way. We'll just jump into that one and go straight into it, and then we'll talk about everything else in terms of the 2022 recap here, and then talk about all those Pixel book and ChromeOS topics that you've mentioned there. So the update that we had this week was the ability to get enhanced spam protection through automatic labeling of suspected spam calls in Google Voice. And I started noticing this, I think probably a little bit before the announcement came out. Started seeing a lot more calls coming in with this symbol on them, and it was Google Voice now showing it. I think direct mobile number, like the voice, the phone app on Android had this already, and I was noticing it on calls into that number, and then all of a sudden this started appearing in my some incoming Google Voice numbers, and just be careful because some of the calls are actually not spam and they're probably people you should be answering. I noticed a lot of just like banks and credit cards and things like that were calling and all being flagged as spam when of course they're not. I'm sure some people feel that they are, but they're actually legit calls. So I think if you start to add that number to your contacts, I think that's probably how that will not be displayed anymore. If you have that name and number in your contacts, it will sync up and not show the spam. I think this is for unrecognized numbers that are incoming, and that's kind of
anyway, just so that I always know who it is and whether or not I should pick up.
Yeah, right,
it's just good practice.
And you know what I had used for a while Truecaller, and I really got annoyed by it. I got really annoyed, because I don't know, like it. For one, it gets access to all your contacts, right? So that's one thing. Mm-hmm. And I've done it, so it's gone now. Like the information's gone. Like it's been given up already. Even uninstalling it, it's still there. I guess I gotta delete the account or something. But just a lot of weird pop-ups, and I don't know. It just wasn't functioning exactly how I would have liked it to, and it was always, I think, there's like a Truecaller dialer that was always trying to insert itself into calls, and I could never really get it to disable or something, or I did, but there was always a permanent notification in my toolbar from Truecaller that I just felt was really annoying.
That.
Stuff like
That's
that,
annoying.
Yeah. So I at one point it seemed like it was a good idea, but it's like there's not that many calls that come in that really need to be blocked. And now that Google's doing it directly in voice, which is great, The other the update, speaking of good updates that related to 2022, I don't think I put this on my list, but just talking about voice made me think of it. And it was because it happened to me a lot today. I was, not only was I on Google Meet with you, but I was also on a phone call with Comcast for support, and then the engineer called. Google Voice has the call waiting, or the dual calling, place on hold and swap calls now functionality, something that I was surprised that it wasn't available for so long until recently. And
one of the reasons why I did not go with Google Voice.
Yeah. So it would send that second call straight to voicemail. You would never hear it or see it. Now it's ringing, and you can place the call on hold and answer the other one, or you can hang up on the current one and go to the other one and swap between the two, or whatever you need to do, which is great. So that happened a couple times today with what I was doing. Cool. So another nice little feature. Yeah. But in terms of the spam calling updates that we were talking about, not too much to do here, but you can turn this functionality on and off. So it is under settings, security, then filter spam, and there will be some on and off toggle there that you can do to identify those calls. It is going to be rolling out to all Google Voice customers. So that would be, of course, the workspace customers as well as consumer ones, it sounds like. As I use consumer for my number, and I was seeing it there. Rapid release and scheduled release domains. We'll see this on a gradual rollout up to 15 days for visibility, which started on the 29th of December. And yeah, that's the update for the week. Looking at the updates from 2022, we kept track of everything that was happening last year. And, we saw a substantial, I would say, number of updates last year in 2021. Well, last year, in the full prior last year, 2021, compared to 2022, where there was only 236. So, yeah, just 236 in 2022. We had around 289 in 2021. And the 236 number is about the same as what we saw in 2020, where we saw around 240 updates that year. And, these are, of course, these aren't really updates. They're, blog posts that are related to an update that, maybe a pre-announcement or something like that. So, take that number with a bit of a grain of salt, but that's what that relates to, the number of blog posts that we saw throughout the year. And, I think still a pretty consistent number there in that kind of mid 200s range, around about that. And, looking forward to kind of seeing what is going to be coming this year from Google. But as we look back on last year's updates, we do have, I think 10 here from me looking at this. And I don't know, so how should we go through this? To go through mine first? I have 11, actually. I think I have 11.
Sure.
And you've got 10. So these will go in, if we go top to bottom on our list, this will go in reverse chronological. So most recent to oldest update in terms of when they were announced throughout the year. If we follow that on both of our lists, Jesse, there, just as a point of reference.
Yep.
First one. So the first one that I noticed, or that I have on my list, is that the trust rules coming out on Google Drive being generally available. So that feature was allowing you to more granularly control how users can share content within your environment for enterprise customers, and not just sharing, anyone in the organization can access content. Next was the ability to live stream Google Meet events via YouTube. Nice feature there. Make it really easy. I mean, that used to be possible, again, back in the Hangout days, right? It was possible to take the Hangout Meet event or Hangout events and put them into YouTube Live, or do all that. And there's been some transition this year from a lot of those legacy applications and services into the current version of what that product is. So Hangouts moving into Meet and, Hangouts, classic Hangouts in terms of chat, migrating into, classic Hangouts migrating into Google Chat. And that's actually one of the other updates I have. That's one of the on the end of the list there, but it also was referenced in November. And, that's another one on my list, is that completion of the upgrade of Google Hangouts to Google Chat. And that, luckily finally finished early November, and was announced early in the year, around March. So it's another big one that I appreciated in 2022. Next one, the ability to export log data in near real time to BigQuery. And for enterprise customers that are sending their logs over to BigQuery, that delay had been a couple days, up to a couple days really. And if you were trying to leverage a third-party SIEM tool for alerting and monitoring, it really wasn't going to allow you to do anything with those security dashboards, because if you're looking for certain types of events and want to be alerted on them, well, 3 days old data is not going to help you when you're trying to identify things happening now. So that update pushed those logs in near real time, and with about a 10-minute delay, so that you can act much more quickly on those if you are looking for events over there in BigQuery, and integrating that data with maybe some other metrics that you're seeing from other platforms, from your endpoints or from other security tools. Next one is that ability to set up SSO profiles for multiple third-party identity providers with multiple IDP SSO. And that was a beta launch. I don't know if it's still in beta right now, but this really helped improved flexibility for organizations, especially those larger orgs that were acquiring other companies, and maybe the one company was on a different identity provider, and in an acquisition maybe didn't have time to migrate the identity providers over to the main one. It tends to be a pretty labor intensive process, and if you wanted to have both of those subsets of your users authenticating with different IDPs, which wasn't possible. And now you can configure that with multiple ones, or not have an IDP for some of your users at all. So not just those super admins, but which is what it's always been possible. But it would be any user or subset through groups that could bypass an identity provider. Next one, and probably this next one here actually makes me think about all the updates this year actually that were related to API updates or new APIs that were becoming available. This one here, though, that I kind of called out was the ability to create spaces and add members with the Google Chat API, and that was available in a developer preview. When we talked about that, there were a lot of other API updates. There was the calendar availability API, which was also announced. Google Forms API. There was a lot of API announcements that happened this year, and that was actually something that we talked about, I think, early in the year with one of the Googlers that we had on, and he said that there was going to be a good effort placed on increasing and improving APIs within the workspace platform. And if we look at 2022 and the number of announcements that had API, let's say in the title, there were eight updates in 2022 that called out APIs. So 8 out of 236, not too bad. Good 3.3% of updates were related to APIs there, right? So nice to see that.
Felt like more.
It did. I think, I mean, there might have been a few other enhancements sprinkled in or not even announced, things like that. I think there was some stuff with like ChromeOS APIs as well that really didn't see any announcements here on the workspace, the blog. I think there was some stuff that happened there. nice to see APIs coming to more workspace products and services. Next,
Definitely.
there's that improved admin experience for moving folders from My Drive to shared drives. So that was a way to, just trying to think of how best to explain it. More easily move those My Drive folders into a shared drive when you have, external files or document files owned by external members, and if you're trying to move too many files at once into a shared drive, it kind of does some pre-checks ahead of time to make sure that is going to make it before it actually moves everything.
Yeah, so this one probably should have made my list as well. That's a good one.
Yeah, that was a good one. Next, this is also one that can talk about another one as well. So an update to this one was that Zoom is being added as well. But the one that was announced was the built-in WebEx interoperability on Google Meet hardware was being expanded there, and that announcement was very early in the year. Actually, that was March. We've recently seen towards the end of 2022 the expansion upon that feature, where it is coming to Zoom and Teams very soon. So very excited to see that, to be able to leverage Meet hardware across those multiple conferencing platforms. So that's going to be really, really great to see. I think that that once that comes out, that's going to be once the Zoom and Teams one comes out. I mean, that'll be on my list for 2023 for sure. So next is that Google Workspace Migrate was announced as generally available. A little bit of a caveat though to this one is that when Google acquired AppBridge many years ago, AppBridge was a third-party migration tool. The development of that, of course, was a product that was marketed to organizations. It was sold. There was a kind of a revenue focus there on that. Once it kind of came under Google's control and through that acquisition, I think it's definitely a very useful tool to have from a migration perspective. And this is kind of talking from a Google partner kind of service provider type perspective here. Of course, it's probably not getting the attention I think it deserves though and needs as as a product to compete with other products in the market. Tools like CloudM Migrate, for example, or any of the other migration tools out there. It could definitely use some attention from Google, I think, and also just a better access to support engineers. It's tough to find support for that product in terms of getting to the right team and finding people that know it. And when you're running a migration, you don't have sometimes a couple days to wait for someone to get back to you. You kind of need to get to that right person right away for that product.
So what you're saying is it suffers from all of the classic Google problems?
Yep. I guess so. Yeah, that's exactly it. But being generally available and a product focus, that was good to see that coming out of the beta there. And I hope it's not something though that gets sunsetted, for example. And if there's not that much attention on it, will it get removed eventually? I don't know. Right? Will it no longer become a priority? But hopefully it will. As some people like to joke, did Google just acquire it so that they can, run more migrations on GCP infrastructure and just get more GCP cloud spend?
Could be. Could have also been an acqui-hire.
Yeah, you can run it on anything you want. You can, run on GCP, AWS, doesn't matter where it runs. But I think, most Google partners run that on GCP infrastructure. And, they were typically, Let's see.
Did you skip the DLP one, or
I
did
did. I did. No. It's good that you're keeping track here of this,
Gotta keep you
because
honest.
I did skip the new intelligent content-based detection and additional regional security detectors for data loss prevention.
Change your mind? Not a favorite anymore?
Oh, no, not that. No, I just completely missed it. That's really all it
okay.
is. But yeah, a lot of enhancements to DLP detectors from that update. There were 40 plus. They added 40 plus content detectors from that, and a lot more predefined detectors to kind of make it easy to find and control data going in and out of the organization, and then also, there was a lot of parameters for regional security, things like auth token, API keys, some things like that. So, yeah, a lot of updates to enhance and improve DLP security there with that one. We talked about the classic Hangouts to Google Chat migration, which was announced early in March and then finalized towards November, and then finally the first one of the year. The ability to create or import text watermarks in Google Docs is one of my few usability product features here in this list. A lot of them, of course, me, are related to security, things like that. But this one was something that the reason why I had this on the list is I heard it so many times during sales calls with Microsoft customers, was how can I do a watermark in a Google Doc? How can I put a watermark on a Google Doc? I'm like, it's not a feature. You can't really do it. Like, what? So then once it finally came out, I was like, all right, now you can finally say it's available. Here it is. But, of course, once it came out, people still complained about it. Like, it didn't do it the same way as they expected it to. But it's there. It's there. So that's my top 11, I guess you could say, of 2022. So curious, what do you guys find to be your most important updates? We've got 10 more to go, or what, 9, 10? Yeah, you added 10. Added one more to be 10. So yeah, Jesse, take it away. What are yours?
Well, speaking of people complaining about the way that things were rolled out, number one, hold separate conversations in Google Chat Spaces with inline threading. I and many others are still complaining about the way that was rolled out, because it wasn't really rolled out. Well, was it rolled out at all? Like, I don't think I've seen it yet. Number one. Number two, it was rolled out in a way that was only going to allow inline threading in the non-threaded spaces, which makes all kinds of Google logic sense. But that's exactly where I don't want it. That's a straight conversation, stream of consciousness chat. It's the threaded ones that I wanted it to be topics that can be broken out, or even put it in both. I'm perfectly happy with having it in both. But only one, and you chose the wrong one. No, I don't get it. Okay, so that'll be my favorite when it actually rolls out, and when it rolls out to both sides, then it'll really be a favorite, and that's why I'm excited for it. But it comes with the caveat of what the hell, Google.
I think, I mean, I'm
you
not
and I
a huge fan
will
of
continue
it, but
to disagree on this.
But you know what? It is a much better implementation than Slack's threaded conversations, because those ones, Slacks are horrible. At least with the Google ones, that threaded conversation is being updated. Everyone sees that. That's the biggest benefit in chat over Slack.
I think that's what they were going for here. Is they're like, look, we've all used Slack, and it's like threaded on a threaded of a threaded of a threaded. Like here, you can actually keep track of it. I do like that.
Yeah.
But they gotta take it over the finish line. So hopefully, fingers crossed. All right.
I'm just creating a lot of classic spaces that has the classic threading, and hopefully it still persists.
And then. Yeah, or hopefully at some point they give us the ability to just, add those features or swap them down the road, convert the space type or whatnot. I don't know. All right, my next one was Google Meet call control for USB peripheral devices. I really like being able to hit the button on my headset that ends the Google Meet call, or flipping up my microphone, which mutes it here, but nobody else can tell that I'm muted because the computer itself microphone may be muted, but in the call, I am not muted. So now both of those things happen. Direct control from my headset, which is awesome. And being able to do that, plus the press spacebar to unmute, like that's all I need for a call. Is I can just sit back and enjoy the call and know that I'm in control of my audio, which is very important. Especially if you're one of those who has a wireless headset and gets up and walks off and says something to a coworker or takes a quick bio break and makes sure that you want to be on mute when you're flushing and whatnot.
Yeah,
which doesn't happen all that often anymore. But
I had a close call on a team meeting recently where
blow into the microphone to make sure.
No, it was usually, and because they use Zoom for the team meetings, and I thought my camera's usually off. Well, this day it wasn't off, and wasn't that bad.
You
I was
take
just
your calls from your phone often, so
I was on my laptop. It was laying in bed. And just like that, just like laying flat kind of thing, like laptop on your stomach type thing.
The
so
story
you
could
just
be
had
better or worse depending on where it goes from here.
It was totally fine. Yeah, everything was fine. It was just a quick flash of just me laying like that. It just wasn't a good visual look of laying in bed taking a team call. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. So, quickly turned off the camera when I noticed it turned on.
Whoops. Yeah. That's why they have the little light on there. Let you know.
I don't know. It's Zoom. I hardly use it.
Weren't paying attention.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it was off.
I'm just messing with you. All right, another Google Meet one here. I'm a big fan of Google Meet. I spend a lot of time in Google Meet. Easily access your most used emojis in Google Chat. Oh, I was skipping one. All right, so in Google Chat, the emojis, yes. Not the custom emojis. That one I care less about. That's more of a Steve update one. But easily access your most used emojis in Google Chat. Honestly, this is a little bit borderline for me because I just ended up using the what do you call it, the colon and type out the emoji and to trigger it that way instead of just seeing them all there. But it is nice to be able to just click and click. It's a couple less keystrokes. So anything that allows me to work faster and more efficiently and in the way that I normally work is definitely appreciated. Back to Google Meet is picture-in-picture and multi-pinning available for Google Meet in Chrome. I think this was more of a issue for me before I upgraded to my ultra-wide monitor because now I have things placed a little bit differently, but I used to pop out picture-in-picture all the time. In fact, I am doing it right now for this call because I do like to have the person that I'm speaking to, if it's a one-on-one or something along those lines, more directly behind the camera so it looks more of a natural conversation. We haven't gotten to the point where the AIEYE tracking and changing is good enough that I want to rely on that just yet. I feel like at some point my eyes are going to be going in two different directions, and I don't know. So I don't trust that just yet. So definitely a big fan of that. And then another one that, what took them so long? Easily see file locations in Google Drive. Like, come on, man.
Well, I don't know. It's been there. You just had to click on a file and look down at the bottom. It's that breadcrumb has always been there.
But even still, it's not always so easy to view, and I've had a lot of people complaining about it over the years, and so that's why I'm very happy to see it. Yeah. Again, anything that makes it easier, faster, more intuitive, by all means. Okay. Moving down the list. Quick access to additional actions when composing a message in Google Chat on iOS. And elsewhere, I should add, which was added later on. That quick access abilities is, when you get the drop down to be able to add things to the chat. That seems to still sort of be rolling out in the other locations. Yeah. Well, just like we were, talking the other day with the video that we had found on the Workspace website, showing a different layout for that. So it looks like we may still have something changing in that space. So I guess stay tuned for there. Getting into some of the bigger hitters at the beginning of the year, which I guess are kind of like 45 updates rolled into one. New Smart Canvas features in Google Docs, which is also still kind of being, figured out and rolled out.
Constantly improved or constantly enhanced, right?
Continuously, yes, continuously incrementally updated and whatnot. So, but hey, that's the name of the game, right? Is small continuous steps instead of massive ones all the time. So, big fan of that approach, and this is a great feature because it did add a lot of capabilities. Now, the whole page lists versus how they implemented page lists is another thing I like to complain about here, but baby steps, I suppose. We're getting there. Another all-encompassing one here is the future of currents and the next generation of collaboration in spaces. That's huge. And currents, we still haven't even seen what the hell is going to happen with them as they continue to sunset currents and make it become spaces, which is what this is mostly about here. It also touches on what Steve and I were talking about before with conversations and having different types of spaces and maybe being able to switch between the different types, especially as they continue adding to the feature set of spaces and opening it up so that you can have such numbers as 8,000 people in a space to take over for a current community or something along those lines. So this is still outstanding in terms of it being rolled out, but it was a huge step forward for the platform, and I am very happy to see some sort of cohesive chat strategy being put in place. We had Javier doing a ton of work on that this year, and now he's gone. So hopefully we can start to figure out what the next strategy is going to be here and what direction it's going to go in. But hopefully we'll continue to simplify and to pare down any previous throw it at the wall and see what sticks endeavors that drove everybody crazy for a while. So all good forward-moving steps for the platform. Now, honorable mention, simply, go ahead, Steve. You want to say something?
No, I'm just going to go back to the current one, just about that migration, just because that is something that's going to be coming up. It says early, 2023. So just on the horizon there in terms of, keeping your eye out for that transition. And if you haven't committed to the migration yet in the admin console, I guess that'll, be coming soon.
I don't have any currents experience really hardly at all, but I feel like we should probably do a live, possibly education sector focused Q&A event with some of the team members behind the currents/spaces transition and bring on some people who have a very large vested interest in this, such as our buddy Kim, to kind of go a few rounds and discuss what's happening here. I think that would probably be valuable to people. So, reminder, note to self when editing, add this to the calendar. That's a good one. And then speaking of, live events and things, we did a bunch of those this year. And so honorable mention goes to a topic that consumed the conversation of many such events and other episodes is G Suite Legacy Free Edition drama. It's not a feature that I'm happy that they did. I'm happy that they did acquiesce and that they gave us an out in allowing us to be able to keep those. The end
result was good, but that
good-ish.
It should have been the initial solution and the response, and they should have had that in planned. When they made that announcement. And that was just the timing of it all just didn't go well.
The timing, the lack of initiative, the lack of conversation, the lack of information, the lack of updates, the lack of all kinds of things. The way that they did it, the whole thing was just basically a clusterfuck and should have been done. I'll beep that out, don't worry. Should have been handled a lot better. And quite frankly, it's still out there. I was having a conversation on Twitter this week with somebody who I'm helping out that they're trying to buy extra storage on that account now. They have one of those legacy free accounts, and they had previously paid for storage because they have a larger amount of storage than they should. And it's just pushing them towards Google One, or it's pushing them towards contact your administrator. He's like, I am the damn administrator, and he's not getting anywhere. And I don't know if it's a glitch somewhere in his account or something. I have to dig in and take a look. But, there's still a lot of questions and problems with this out there.
Yeah, you can't buy additional storage anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's just sending him in this loop, and good luck.
Yeah,
so,
you've basically
and he's
have to go
for it.
Well, yeah,
so
what you have to do
tell him is just upgrade to basic.
I wouldn't do that. My suggestion would be, depends on what the use case is. But what I would suggest is create a new workspace environment called, storage.mydomain.
Right.
And make that the business standard with spaces with, shared drives. And it depends on what, where is the storage being used? Is it email? Is it drive? Is it photos? I don't know.
It's Google Photos for him.
Photos. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That's a different story then. Then you kind of need a personal account for that is what you need, I guess. But
yeah.
I mean, you should have
yeah,
personal
go
account for
either
photos.
direction, I suppose. It depends on, why he has a personal domain attached to there. And if he cares if his photos are over there. Like I migrated my photos over, from a workspace account to a more personal managed workspace account, just because A, I wanted to make sure that I had full control over my photos, and B, because of all of the the requirements over storage and things like that. And that was a headache. That was annoying.
Yeah.
So good luck to anybody who is trying to move their photos in between workspace accounts and personal accounts and so on. It's a pain in the ass.
Yeah, the photos one is also a tricky point for students at universities because there's oftentimes people have stored a lot of photos in their profiles, and photo API is not the easiest one to use. Our clone has access to it, but you're not able to control it like you can with Drive and email, for example, generally. So a little trickier.
All right, so those are
you can't delete the photos. That was the thing. You can't delete photos. That's a big problem for education. Is you can download them, you can move them for the user, but you can't delete them for the user.
Well, I guess when you tank the account,
you'd have to kill the user account. Yes,
yeah,
that's what you have to do. Schools can't do that.
Right.
There's other things you can do, but it's
good heavens.
Yeah, it's a tricky situation.
A little bit. So those are our top 10 each, or in Steve's case, top 11. And let us know what you thought. What were your favorites? What didn't you see that you wanted to? I'm still waiting for higher quality Google Meet calls myself, just because I'm a stickler for video quality. I don't know if you know that about me. But, hell of a year. And let's see if the pace increases, stays the same, slows down. Not really sure. We did have a couple of other things here before you all be like, oh, it's the end of the episode, let's close it off here, is other news. Raise a glass to the Pixelbook Go. It is out of stock at the Google Store. And RIP, I suppose, probably the end of it. We knew this was coming. They haven't updated it in years. Oh, wait. A few hours after we published, inventory is fluctuating. Interesting.
Oh, really?
But it's only based on models. So it looks like when the model is gone or the spec level is gone, the unit is gone. So if you really need one of those, first of all, I have one that I'd be happy to sell you. Second of all, there may be a few in the store that you could probably find depending on what you're looking for there. So I don't know why you would so desperately need one, unless you're just, a Google diehard like us that didn't pick one up yet. Now's your chance. But other than that, hopefully they update it at one point. But they're going in an interesting direction with the I won't say tablets, but I guess the larger form factor, or whether it's foldables, tablets, whatever. I feel like we could see a return to laptops via that route in another year or two as they continue to figure out their strategy in that area. So we'll see. Then I'm going to skip my next one to continue on the Pixelbook path here. 9 to 5 Google had a article here. As Google pushes the Pixel ecosystem forward, it's time for a new Pixelbook. And you know what? I agree with you. I like Google hardware. I really like having it in the same family. I like how easily things sync up together. And yes, you can get a lot of those really amazing features just by using Google Chrome itself or using ChromeOS itself. But I know that there were some Pixel-specific features that they had that worked really well, such as like an AirDrop equivalent of easily moving photos and things between your phone, or automatically jumping onto your phone's connection, which I think now has graduated onto Android for all Android devices. But there was just a certain beautiful magic of what you experience with a Mac, where you have both the OS and the hardware designed and built by the same company. And that tightness, just, you don't necessarily feel it with almost any other manufacturers. I will say that I do feel it with the Dragonfly, and I do feel it with the framework, but both of those devices were actually collaborative with Google. So that's why you're going to feel that there. I would like to see it more across, various different providers. So I guess if they could or manufacturers. So if they could go in that direction, sure, that'd be great. But I don't think they're going to. So again, as they say in this article, and as we've said before, Google is leaning more into the tablet space or the larger format space. There's a Pixel tablet coming right around the corner, which is meant to be a couch side or a countertop device that detaches, and or as I brought up the new category, or my category last time, a bedside Chromebook. Is certainly a direction that they're going in. So I think that this is not going to be the last of Google laptop like hardware that we've seen from them, but it certainly seems to be the end of it at the moment. And just continuing on that conversation is another 9 to 5 Google. I guess they're all on Pixelbooks at the end of the year here, is that Google has canceled nearly as many Pixelbooks as it has released. And that's one of the things that has been so frustrating about the Pixelbook journey, and getting excited about, new Pixelbook features or new Pixelbooks launching, or new, even updated same versions, but just, the specs, which they didn't actually ever do for either model, if I'm not mistaken. So, they had lots of different code names that were in development that had leaked, and, you could see from testing on different processor testing sites the code names with modern gen processors and things, and it just never materialized, and they just kept canceling them. And that, obviously you can see why they killed it, but I would love to see them return to it. So that's all I will say about that for now. The last article that I had here is that Google is apparently ramping up the Fuchsia development going into 2023. For those of you who are not familiar with what Fuchsia is because Google likes to do multiple approaches to the same thing at the same time, is another operating system built from the kernel up this time. So I guess deeper level than just using Linux all the time, or Linux-based for all of their systems, is Fuchsia is an entirely new operating system and kernel, rather than relying on Linux. And they've started to develop it, put it on different devices. What you don't know is that, or may not know, is that it's actually running, I think, pretty much all of the Nest Hub Google displays at this point. And the crazy thing about that is they managed to roll it out to all of the devices, and the interface is still identical. So some serious kind of development power and magic that went into making that happen is our devices just rebooted, downloaded the firmware, rebooted, and are running this new operating system, but are still looking exactly the same. I didn't notice really anything that changed, and then there were some new features that came out, which also were probably possible because of Fuchsia. And this has been going on for quite a while that they've been working on this, and it looks like they're really kicking it into high gear, and who knows, maybe we'll see it as the base for some more applications and some more operating systems, and who knows, sky's the limit when you're developing your own kernel and your own code, your own operating system. So we'll see. And that's it. That's all I got. So thanks for sticking with us. This is not too long, not the longest certainly, but not the shortest either. Let us know what your interests were, what you liked the most about the year, and reminder to join our Happy Birthday to Steve Google Chrome OS Administrator live discussion on January 12th, and Q&A with Googlers from the team that developed it, and to check out our end-of-year Google Chrome browser recap show, which is available everywhere, but really go and check it out on YouTube. And subscribe to the YouTube, and please share it with your friends. Our main goal this year is to build this channel up so that we get it monetized, so that we can start doing more and putting more time into this, and upgrading for certain equipment and things like that. So we cannot do that unless we have 1,000 subscribers. So please share it with all of your friends, the YouTube channel, and that's pretty much it. We appreciate all of your help and staying with us. And that's all for the beginning of 2023. Leave us a comment if you have one, or a review if you would like, and we will see you Yeah, next week on Google Workspace Recap.